One.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at that.
Like, it looks
Wow.
after it for about 6 months.
Wow.
If the kitten goes to go over the road, when it might be safe, the crow,
Wow.
he feeds it, which he grubs all kinds of things like that.
Wow.
Some people were overseeing it, but it totally raised this kitten.
That's amazing, isn't it? Why did that animal decide to do that?
Oh, they're wonderful, wonderful creatures. They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful creatures.
Really are.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Really
Alrighty.
want you to get better, mate. Oh.
Okay. Well, with his voice being affected, that was a very important clue that you gave me.
Right. Yeah.
So if his voice is affected, it means that the voice box is likely to be affected or somewhere there.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the voice box in a crow, in all birds, is not at the top of the windpipe.
Right. Okay.
It's at the bottom of the windpipe,
Oh, right.
where the windpipe branches into the two main bronchi.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we call the voice box of a bird the syrinx,
Yeah.
and if his voice is affected, there is a high probability that that part of his body is affected with some form of disease. However, there is still a possibility that there may be something between the voice box and the entrance to the windpipe, partially blocking his windpipe. And the two things, well, as far as the probabilities go, in a young raven, my experience indicates that there are two likely probabilities. One is a disease called Aspergillosis,
Right.
which is a mycotic infection, a fungal infection, that occurs particularly in immunosuppressed birds or birds whose immune system is otherwise tied up doing other things.
Okay. Yeah.
So if he does have raven circovirus, that would fit the picture perfectly.
Combination.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I see that periodically in wild ravens and particularly in wild currawongs as well. Not so much magpies, but currawongs and ravens, and we get it in certain cockatoos, such as Major Mitchell young Major Mitchell cockatoos seem to be particularly susceptible for some reason.
Right.
Anyway, that's one possibility. Another possibility is Syngamus trachea, which is gapeworm.
Been treated.
Right, and he's been treated for that.
Yeah.
And there are other, in small birds such as Gouldian finches, we'd immediately think of, and canaries, we'd immediately think of tracheal mite.
Right.
A little mite that when it has a picnic, when they decide to have a family reunion or something, if they all congregate together in the windpipe, they can obstruct it. Right? If there's just one or two here and there, maybe not, but depending on the size of the bird. Right? But if they have a family reunion, well then, yeah, they can cause major diseases. So we'll be looking at those sorts of things, and then in some other possibilities include chlamydia, but usually we have sore eyes and we have nasal discharge and sneezing with that, and I'm not recognising that.
Right.
Right? Have you seen any of that sort of sign?
About a month ago, he had one completely blocked nostril.
Yes.
Which I
Cleaned out? Yep.
cleaned out,
Yes.
not deep, and
Yep.
it cleared itself completely.
Right, fine. Okay, alrighty. Alright, well, I'll just stop the recording again there, and then I'll put the stethoscope